Hi everybody, it is Marcy and Chunk again, and on today's edition of Chunky Knitted Creations, we are going to teach you how to make the cable knit blanket, one of the most popular stitches out there, and probably the one that people get most intimidated by, but it's not that hard, really, it's not. So let's just dive right in. I started off my blanket already so that I didn't have to waste your time with all that. A cable knit can be the cable section itself. You can do 2 stitches, 3 stitches, 4, 5, however big you want it to be. Okay, the standard is the cable part is going to be 4 stitches that you're going to actually cross over and cable. And you want to knit 6 to 7 rows in between each cable so that it has plenty of space to stretch back out. So, and you might want to do a nice pattern in between each cable. What I did here was my end stitch, 2 purl stitches, and then the 4 stitches I'm going to use for the cable, 2 purls, the cable, 2 purls, and then my end stitch. So it looks nice if you put some purl stitches in between, or I've even seen people put herringbone stitches in between. Or you can just do the knit stitch, but you do need knit stitches for the cable part to look good. So let's dive right in. Like I said, I've seen a lot of videos that say that you have to be going left to right to do the cable, but I've done it both ways and it doesn't seem to affect it. So I knitted I'm going to skip my end stitch as I always do. A purl stitch, if you don't know, I don't think I've done a video with a purl stitch in it. A purl stitch is the back side of a knit stitch. So they're kind of hard to see in here. Here's a purl stitch. Here's a knit stitch. You flip this over, your purl stitch becomes a knit stitch and your knit stitch becomes a purl stitch. Okay. So you just reverse it. It's a reverse. With the knit stitch, you pull the yarn from the back through the front. With the purl stitch, you push it through. So you're just kind of doing it upside down. So you just take your yarn, bring it around the front instead of behind, and push it through your loop. Okay. My first chain that I did, or I did my cast on chain. I don't count that, of course, in my number of rows. In the first row that I did not purl that right there because you really can't. So I kind of just knitted the entire first row. All right, so there we go. I just pulled it through the front. And then normally I would knit through here, but I'm going to cable. So with the cable, you want to always cable in the same direction or you will end up looking like an S, okay? So you can do it either way. You can cable to the left. This is my left. You can cable to the left or you can cable to the right, but just stay uniform. So I'm going to cable to the right just because that's what I do. So I'm going to take my 2 left stitches and pull them over my right stitches. Okay. So I've got my 2 left stitches, or stitch 3 and 4 as they call it, and I'm going to pull them over and knit them first and let the other 2 fall behind it. Okay, let's do that again. So take these 2, pull them over the front, push these 2 over. Okay, and it'll look really goofy at first, but once you knit a few rows, knit through them. Once you knit a few rows, it will level out. Okay, and then make sure you get back here and get those 2. All right, and kind of pull them over so that you can get to them. You want to pull them next to your cable here, to your first 2 stitches. Sorry. I have a way with words, don't I? All right, so I've pulled those 2 over, and as you can see, it's already starting to look like a cable. Now my next 2 stitches, I had purl stitches. You got to be really careful that you don't miss a stitch when you're doing these combo patterns like this. Just make sure. Let's see, and I cast on 16 for this just because it's just a small sample blanket, but you could double it and then add 4 cables. Just do, figure 4 stitches for each cable and then 2 stitches in between and then 2 on the end. So you could easily double this pattern. All right, so I knitted these, or I did this cable, purled these 2, and now we're going to do another cable. So again, I'm going to do this one in the same direction because I don't want to, it would look nice actually if you cabled one this way and one that way, but I'm just going to go in the same direction. So I'm going to grab, again, my left 2 stitches and bring them over the right 2 and knit them first. I'm sorry, but I have seen so many tutorials on twist stitches and knit stitches, or I'm sorry, cable stitches, and that where you have to pull stitches over like this, and then grab your back too, or underneath here, and pull them over the other way. And I never could catch on to the counting where it's you pull these over and knit stitch 3 and 4 first, and then go back and knit 1 and 2 from behind. It was just, it wasn't registering with me, and it's strange because I love math. So I just grabbed them and started pulling them over. I'm like, okay, pull the 2 in the front and knit them first. Okay, so then we are going to purl these 2 like I just did. Knit my end stitch once. Okay. I'm actually going to take my wrist brace off because it seems to be really getting in there. I've done a lot of tutorials today, so my hands are a little tired. Okay, so let's go over that again. Now, here's the purl stitches that I did. So bring your working yarn on top of your stitch in front and push it through with your thumb. Okay, push it through the loop. So you're learning 2 things in once here. You're learning the cable and you're learning the purl stitch. So again, grab it. You have your little loop there. Take your working yarn, push it through. All right, pull it out. Make sure you got them nice and tight and there's no big gap in between. Okay, now these are the crazy ones that I just knit or did the cable on. Make sure that those ones that you pulled over stay over here, and the ones that you pulled over this way stay over here, and that you knit them in that order. And then this big hump that we've got here will start to flatten out. So I don't count the cable row, and I start counting this row here, and knit 6 or 7 rows, whichever one you started with, you stick with that. You want to decide, do I want to knit 6 or do I want to knit 7? 7 actually seems to stretch it out a little better and flatten this, because the more you start knitting back that way, it starts to lay back down. So I did 6 on a few blankets, and then I just thought, you know what, maybe if I just heard somebody in our group the other day say that they didn't really like how it didn't lay down and it stuck up, and was that normal? And I thought, how can we fix that? All right, so again, these are where I cabled before, and I pulled these 2 this way and I pulled these 2 this way. So I'm knitting my back stitches first this time because I'm coming the other direction. And then when I come this way, I will knit the front stitches, which are the ones that are sticking up. Anyway, so I thought, to remedy this big giant hump sticking up, make it even flatter, we just knit out another row, or even 2 rows. You could try doing 8 and see how it looks. And then it might lay down even flatter for you, because it starts to just pull this cable back down. All right. So 1 row, and I need 7. And pull those through. Knit. This is going to be the shortest cable video you've ever seen. Okay, I'm going to just speed through this really quick for you so I can show you the next cable and keep track of my stitches, because I talk too much. Oh, one thing, if you want to know where you cabled, and so you don't forget, you can always put a stitch marker right here on your cable row so that you can count from there and realize when you get to 7 rows. Okay, so I knitted my 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and as you can see, it's starting to lay flat. And I really noticed a difference just on that last row. Okay, so now we're going to cable again, and I'm going to go in the same direction. I'm going to take these 2 left stitches and pull them over the right. Even if I was coming this way, I would still do that, but I would just knit these under ones first. But I'm going to knit the top ones. Okay. So as long as you still, pull it in the same direction and just knit from that direction, you'll be fine. And then find your 2 back stitches because they will be hiding, trust me. Pull them over. And don't knit really tight when you're doing a cable because, again, as you can see, I knitted tighter for some reason. I think it's because I've been knitting a lot with gray yarn, and white yarn is just, ivory yarn is a lot fluffier because it hasn't been dyed and matted down. So I ended up knitting tighter than I normally do. But look at that. So fold them over, knitted them, and this is what a cable will look like. I'll show you again here. And then you just keep repeating the pattern that you've done. My knits and purls. And I got over here to my second cable. This is where I cabled the first time. And I want to still go in that direction. So I'm going to grab them and pull them that way. Okay, again, grab these 2, pull them that way. And knit, I'm going to knit them first because I'm coming from that direction. If I was coming the other direction, I would knit from behind. Sorry if I'm sounding repetitive. I just want to make sure that I'm explaining it in a way that other people can understand. So I try to explain it a couple different ways. So these 2 are really kind of hiding and drooping behind there. You're going to grab them and pull them over and bring them around. But I get rough with them. And this is why we have carpal tunnel. Because we do this crazy stuff. And because this yarn is so addicting. And knitting is so addicting. Just the feeling of being able to make something with your hands. So I am not a crocheter. I am not a seamstress. I can't do anything with a needle and thread. And when I walked into a craft store one day and I just happened to see some chunky yarn sitting on the shelf behind me, me and my daughter, I was trying to find something fun for us to do because she's getting older and she just doesn't really want to do crafts anymore very much. And so I was trying to find something we could do together. And I seen that and we're both like, oh, it's so fluffy. Feels like a stuffed animal. And then I'm like, I wonder what people do with this, And then somebody's seen it in my basket and they're like, oh, that's what they make those chunky blankets with. And that's all it took because I came home and got on YouTube and it's all downhill ever since. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our cable. Isn't that pretty? So you just keep repeating that. I'm going to knit through this 7 more rows coming back and then pull them over again until you get to the length that you want, and you cast off the same way you do. Of course you want to cast off at the end of your 7 rows, like right where you would cable again. That's where you want to cast off so that it looks even. All right, make sure I get out. He's hiding. There he is. Oh, see, I got to talking and I messed up. So if you're not sure, make sure or take it apart and be sure that you've knitted them properly. You don't want to go through all this with a cable knit and have to take it apart. But if you do, guess what? You will never ever make that mistake again. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. Okay, just knit through, knit through. I'll do a couple more and show you how good it looks once it starts to lay flat. These are my purl stitches. Pull my yarn over from the front. I really suggest doing a different stitch in between like this. It makes the cable just pop, you know. And I don't like doing two colors with them because I just can't seem to get the color change in the right spot. I don't want to change colors right in the middle of the cable, but I've seen other people do it. I mean, come to my group. I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at the talent there. And other people have done it, and you'll be able to look through our media files and see all of the blankets that have been done beforehand. Again, don't talk and knit at the same time. It's dangerous. Thought I was cabling again. There we go. And there's other patterns there that they've created that are just beautiful. There's one that I'm probably going to do where a lady did a twist stitch that looked like a cable. She did a twist and then knits and then twist and then knits, or twist and purls. I can't remember, but I'm going to copy it. We've always got new people. My group is really more of a beginner group, so don't be intimidated if you're a beginner, because I'd say there's probably only maybe 10% of us there that really have knitted for a long time. It's a beginner-friendly group where you ask lots of questions. Okay, see, it's starting to lay flatter. No, it's not such a big hump-looking blanket. And I'm just going to knit my rest of my 7 rows and cast it off because this is just a little sample blanket. So again, if you have any questions, I'm always there in the group. I'm gonna do my best to keep up on all my comments on the YouTube channel. It's a new channel and I want to build it. So invite your friends and comment any suggestions that you have if you want to see a stitch that I don't have posted yet. And coupons for my yarn will be there too. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to comment. Sorry, it's late. I've knitted a lot today. So have a great day. Thank you.